So I'm back this morning where I left off on my last video. So it's been 2 days and I've caught one mole. So I'm reckoning that I've got the culprit. I don't think there'll be any more because there's no new molehills. So what we'll do now is chuck a bit of seed around and then hook the roller on and then roll it. There is a bit over there if you watch me do my potatoes. I tipped the soil from them up there somewhere. So we'll go and throw some seed on that as well. It's only a small bag. So yeah, we'll get cracking. So here's the bit that we did with the potatoes, so that I've thrown grass seed on. And here's the other bit. So what I always try and do is let the wind take the seed because it makes it more evenly spread. Don't want to be throwing it against the wind. So yeah, all we need to do now is go and get a tractor and put it on roller and then roll it in. So I might roll it again in a week or two or in a few days, let it just settle. We'll see if it does anything. We'll come back and we'll see what's happening. I've left roller there just so in case we do roll it again. It's made a good job of it, and where I did that other bit, I've done up there, where the potatoes were, that soil. So yeah, leave it now, let nature do its thing. We'll go on to the next job. Right, so the next job is on this tractor and the fan belt's come loose. See here? Look at all that play. And it's hitting this guard here as it's going, making that noise. So what we'll do is we'll tighten it up. So I've managed to get the nuts undone. There's one here. I've taken this one out, and there's one just here. So now I can move it about. this slider is how far back you want it, how far down. So what we'll do is just pull it till the thing feels tight. Ideally, I don't want to be taking that guard off that I was undoing, because it's on this side and I'd have to take the whole nut off. So if I can, I'd get away with just leaving it on and pulling it. Just put a bit of grease on the bolt just to keep future James happy. So now we've sorted the fan belt out on this tractor, hopefully you could see the difference. We're going to make a plan with the thing on the back. So the topper is 15 years old, I think it's 2010, and as you can see it's gone rusty on the top, worse on that side, because as you're driving along topping, muck flicks off the wheel onto there, and also on this side you get a build up of old weeds and stuff, and they just sit on top. I've scraped them off this morning, and so now you can see what the damage basically is. Now the tin in that, the steel isn't actually that bad. It's what I've just got to do is, because you could spend a fortune repainting the whole thing, and at the end of the day it's just a topper and we don't use it often enough for Verify to justify to do it. So I've ordered some blue paint, just some basic blue paint, and I'm going to hopefully paint it. But what we're going to do first is I'm going to steam clean it all, so it's ready for painting, and then leave it to dry. Yeah, but it's a 6-foot topper. Ideally in the future we'd like something a little bit bigger, because 6 foot it takes us a while when you're doing like a 15-acre field. It takes you all day to do it, so if we can have something a bit bigger one day, we would. I don't really want to touch the back bit because that isn't too bad, and it's got the sticker on, which I had a look at trying to get another sticker if I could paint it, but I can't find any on internet. So what we'll do is just that whole piece here. We're not going to go mad and start taking chains off an A-frame bit. We're just going to slap it on, and just because it stop it rusting away quicker than what we want. Doesn't it look good behind that tractor? Now I know anyone who watches me, and my brother William's a big, well, you'd be able to tell, he likes 300 series tractors, he does. He likes the 300 series we have. Yeah, it's his favourite. Now for me, these are my favourite. 1977 and the 500 series, for me, was the best Fergies ever made. The 500s and also the 2000s, because you had the 550 up to the 595, and then after that you had the 2000 series, which was the 2620, the smallest, to the 2720. So 2620 to 2720. But back to this tractor. She's the baby of the fleet, the baby of the series. She's 1977, which I've mentioned. done 5,500 hours, which is like average. It's not a lot, but it isn't low. So it's done a lot of work, hard work. But she's a one door, which people are a bit. I personally like the two doors because you don't get the build up and muck on this side where there's no door. But it doesn't matter. It's still one of the best tractors, I think. I think Massey Ferguson, when they bought the 500 series out, they built a proper tractor. I think you went from its predecessor 135, which we've also got. You know, you went from like a flexi cab thing, no seat, no heater, no hardly any protection from the wind, to this, which was like a Rolls Royce of a tractor. Now the only thing that upsets me about it is we've only got one. We have 200 series, 300 series, we've got 4 of them, 4 200 series as well, but we only have one 500 series. I would love another, but we've got plenty of tractors. My granddad, well, this tractor came in 2009 when we bought it. It was sold brand new by a local dealership round here, and then in 2009 we bought it, and it was only on a campsite. It only came with like 2,000-3,000 hours on, hardly anything, and all it were doing was doing this job, topping on a campsite and doing little or no work. So in 1978 my granddad bought a brand spanking new 590 from the same dealership this was sold at, and the only sad thing were we sold it, which I suppose it did everything. It was the biggest tractor we had on farm, 590, 75 horsepower, and it was a one door, and it did muck spreading every day. My granddad would go out with a load of muck, because we used to push the muck off a muck ramp, if anyone remembers them, where we don't have a slurry pit back then. Push it into a muck spreader, take it on field every day, and my granddad used to do that. And we used to do that every day, and then in the summer months it'd be on a chopper forage harvester, bringing in doing the silaging, and it worked its socks off, but it got tired, and it was offered as a trade-in when we bought the 399. So when you get offered good money for a tractor that's run down like that, I suppose it was one of them where you have to take it. But looking back, that is the tractor that I want, a 590. I think they were the best ones of the 500 series. I would like a 595 because they were the king of the 500 series, but a lot of problems at the start of them. They got them right towards end. They were French built, which has no issues. It's just, I think a 590 was just the flagship, but also the 595 were just as good. Then one thing that we do want in the future maybe is a rowing up machine. We've always sort of wanted one, but never, because we haven't got the manpower. We have got the tractors, but if we did get one, I just imagine rowing up on a 590 with a rowing up machine. I think that is, if we had to have a tractor going on a rowing up machine, I think a 590 is top whack, because I think you get this big side winder. And one thing you've got to remember is the tractors that came after this, and the ones that were sold at a similar time, the 200 series, which we've got 4 of, 250, 2 265s, a 275, yeah, that's it. And anyway, them tractors I'm not a fan of. I prefer these 500s. You get the big door, and you get the big window, and you get all the visibility that you need. Now with the 200 series, the reason behind them in the 80s were Massey Ferguson had to build a tractor to cheaper than these 500 series, because these were a lot of money back then, and people couldn't afford. So Massey Ferguson had to come out with the 200 series, which were a lot more lighter tractor, light work, and were cheaper. And in my view, cheaper built. The 200s came with a narrow door, which I hate getting in and out of because it's not a Stockman. They're just awkward. And the steel work on them I don't think's as thick. You see, these 500 series, you get the mud guard and it goes all the way down here. I've repainted it. It goes right down to the footwell. And the big chunk things. Now that these 200 series, all they do is cut off up to here. And it covers door in mock. Now, just different ways that Massey Ferguson sort of cut corners a bit with them tractors. Still a good tractor, a lot of people liked them. 265s were probably the most popular one, the smaller middle tractor, and a lot of people had them, but they were cheaper. I'm definitely not knocking a 200 series Massey, it's just my point of view on the 500s. I mean, you went from a 135 to this. Lovely seat. It's even got armrests. This one I think is a different, not an original, but everything. Just imagine winter in a 100 series flexi cab and then winter in one of this. It's even got a back window. And another thing that I think made me fall in love with the 500 series is the fact that when I was growing up I spent a hell of a lot of time on this tractor. I'll put some pictures in if I can get them. All I used to do before I had that Marshall muck spreader that I've got now, that 105, I had a Howard 100 on this tractor getting the muck out, and I used to spend all the time in the world muck spreading on this tractor, and it was an absolute pleasure doing it. I had a Howard 100 and I ran that for a few years, and then I managed to upgrade to a Howard 150. So, and that went on this tractor and it powered it. I could get up this road behind me to them trees, top gear, full load on. Now the reason for that, where someone says, is because the muck spreader was sat quite low on the axle. It weren't like it was sitting, the wheels were like embedded right into muck spreader, so it was sat low and it could pull it like a train. And I used to do tons and tons of muck spreading on that, because a Howard 100 is 3.3, is it, cubes, and of course a Marshall now, that Marshall I've got is 10.5, so it's a big difference. But it was a pleasure doing it on this. It used to do all of it with it, and yeah, that's one reason why I used to just drive this all the time. Never really had an ounce of bother with it. It's had wheels, which punches, so it's had new wheels, and 2 years ago, I think it had a bad oil leak. So underneath here, there's a little pin. I'll just get my finger on it. Little pin there, if you can see. And all oil came out of there from the engine oil. And luckily enough, it was me that was tapping on it, and I saw it, and I managed to get back to the farm and I switched it off so it didn't lose all the engine oil. But it was a seal, so we had to split the tractor, which luckily enough we've got a good mechanic, good with spanners. Split the tractor, he resealed, put a new seal in it, put it back together, and it did it again within the year. It was like a few months later, I think, and he had to do it again, split it, but this time it was a different seal somewhere further in. He had to take the whole engine out and take it away so he could proper thoroughly look for it. And touch wood, it's working fine now. It's had a new clutch. It's had a new clutch a few years ago now, and yeah, that's about it really. The only bad design with these is you've got the old-fashioned brakes, the dry brakes on them, like the 35s had and the 135s. They weren't the best brakes in the world, but yeah, they do work at the minute. But yeah, there's a lot of maintenance that has to go on with brakes on them. I think the 590, I'm sure my granddad said, the 590s didn't have bad brakes, they were brilliant on brakes. The other sad thing were, I think it was only 6 years that Massey Ferguson produced these tractors. I mean, only because, like I say, it was costing them a lot to make these. And so yeah, in the 80s they scrapped them and then got the 600 series out, which I suppose people like different tractors, but these are ones for me I think built Massey Ferguson a good brand. I think they are. I don't think they're underrated and I don't think they're overrated. I think they're just happy medium. I think people do know that Massey Ferguson got them near enough bob on. I think if they did build them as long as they built the 100 series or the 135 built, I think they would have had a bigger fan base. And the 2000 series I think just went well with them because they looked near enough a similar tractor but just a lot bigger, and I think they went well. I know people will say like, oh, 3000s are your best, or 300s, them sort of eras were the best, but for me it's them, because the 2000s were again a very modest tractor for the time, and I think Massey Ferguson also got them right. They were a big weapon back in the day. The only thing were they weren't fast on road. People have had them round here, 2000 series, and yeah, you can't knock them. I think for a tractor that, I remember in the Classic Tractor magazine, when they did a buyer's guide on them, all they said were they were built like tanks, which is true. When you look at them, you look at the amount of steel in them, and they could take some battering. But when this tractor did come in 2009, I remember it coming, and it came on my birthday in November, and I remember coming back from school and seeing it parked in the yard, and I thought, bloody hell, that's a good birthday present. But it turned out it weren't for me. But I do class it as, well, I would like to class it as my favourite tractor that we've got here. But yeah, it did come, and I think if I remember right, the cab was the wrong colour. Were it all silver or were it all red? I can't remember. It was all one colour and might have it repainted. Well, we just repainted it. I've touched it up in different areas. So I've redone the mud guards on them. Where else? I've redone the red on the door. I haven't touched this side on the silver. I've done the roof, but I've done all down there. Mud guards. I've done the inside of the wheels because they were red, but I've bitumened them, so it's got hard stuff. I've repainted the back, and I've done the whole of this side. I've not done the red bit. I've done the silver on this side, but I've not done the red. But it got rusty here, so I've redone there. And again, I've done underneath the mud guards black. I do wish also they had a radio, because that's one thing that you do miss if you spend long hours on it. I remember I used to put my earphones, play different music, but I do wish it had a radio. That's the only really thing. All the lights work on it so far, touch wood, they all worked. But yeah, that's the only thing it misses is a radio. And I've also repainted the diesel tank underneath. I've painted that black to try and protect it because that had gone rusty. I know it's a good place to put one. I don't really like where the diesel tank is underneath because it's hard to get to, and it's where muck sits and everything. If it were me, I'd prefer them at the front where they are on the later model, on the 200s and them 300s. All of them, I do prefer it there because it is a bit handy to get to, whilst on these are underneath, easy to get it, easy to corrode, but you know, still a good tractor. And I think it's about time we got this steam cleaned off and got it ready for painting. Hope you've enjoyed that bit of a talk on Massey Ferguson 550. And I think with steam cleaner did manage to get a bit extra paint off, any that were flaking off. But now we'll just leave it to dry. Paint is ordered, and it's a different, I don't know what shade of blue it is, but I'm not overly bothered because paint's paint at the end of the day. If it's on, it's on. It's proper container paint and what the paint pylons with, so it should be good stuff. Epoxy paint is what it's called, and they say it's very good, so we'll see what it's like. I'm not bothered if it's a different shade of blue, just hope it ain't purple or something like that. So we'll leave the video there at that, and I'll catch you in the next one when we're painting there. So I hope you've enjoyed it. I'll catch you in the next one. Take care everyone.